Ottawa today is symptomatic of the problem of the West. We have caved in to terrorism. We don't understand that what's happening in the Middle East, like with ISIS, with Al-Qaeda, is coming home to haunt us. We know that there are Al-Qaeda cells in the United States. We know that they're crossing the border from Mexico. We know they're in South America. So when people talk about this, this is something that hits home. It's not something that's remote happening just in the Middle East. So that's one thing. And what happened in Ottawa today is just horrific. The fact that a person can get into the Canadian Parliament and shoot and kill one person guarding the Soldiers' Memorial. I mean, it's going to happen here. It only takes one or two people. They talk about the lone wolf. It's not a lone wolf. It's a few. And We've got to understand what their ideology is. We've got to understand what their goals are. Their goal is to destroy Western civilization and the Judeo-Christian value system. And, they can put their ties on like a boss, but they're still the same as Arafat. They can be Erdogan, who sounds good, but he's just a tool of the Muslim Brotherhood, who's letting Muslim Brotherhood. He's the biggest supporter of Hamas. We have to hear what they actually say in their own language, because they tell the truth. They say what they want to do to us. And if we don't wake up and realize that we're going to have another 9/11. 9/11 was horrific. But for such a short period of time, our memories are so short, we forgot the lessons of 9/11, and they're going to come back to haunt us again. So
what does Israel and the West have in common?
Well, first, let me comment about what Secretary of State Kerry said. I mean, some people say to me, well, he just doesn't understand. I disagree. I think he understands exactly what he's saying. This administration and people like John Kerry and President Obama really don't care about Israel. Israel is secondary to them. Their goals are to withdraw from engagement with the world. And and President Obama started, if you remember, he went to Egypt and made a speech. He went to Istanbul and made a speech. What was his goal? His goal was to apologize to the Muslim world for supposedly the crimes that we've committed against them. And it's the exact opposite. They're committing the crimes against us. People say to me, oh, Islam is a religion of peace. I says, no, it's not a religion of peace. People have to remember, how did the Islamic world grow from Morocco to Indonesia? The largest Muslim country in the world is Indonesia. They conquered these people. Their goal is to conquer it. People forget that they were at the gates of Vienna in the 1780s, that they were in France in 634, that they controlled most of Spain. Their goal is to conquer and create a caliphate around the world under Sharia law. And if we don't understand that, then we're lost. And who's the one country that is really facing this every day and is refusing to cave in and stand up for our values as well as their own defense? It's Israel. And if the American public doesn't understand that Israel is our first line of defense, then we're going to lose this war. So the criticism of Israel during the Gaza war is just so misplaced. We should be thanking them for what they're doing. And
some people think that the Islamists are attacking the West, like America and Canada, and our interests around the world because of American support for Israel.
It's totally bogus. I mean, maybe there's one or two people that think that they're misguided. It's got nothing to do with it. First of all, they equate Israel and America. Remember, they talk about the little Satan and the big Satan. And what is their problem here?
America's the big Satan?
America's the big Satan. So anybody that believes that American support for Israel is the cause of anti-Americanism in the Muslim world just doesn't understand what's going on. They don't understand the ideology, the theology, and the reality of not only the Arab world but the whole Muslim world. And this is our problem. So it's easy to say if only Israel would go back to the 67 borders and make peace. Make peace with who? number one, and it's got nothing to do with what's going on with, quote, the Arab Spring. It's got nothing to do with the Syrian civil war. It's got nothing to do with the collapse of Iraq, which was a false state to begin with, or the collapse of the Libyan state. And the whole movement of the radical Islam to infiltrate Europe and take over Europe. I mean, it's starting to happen in countries, and hopefully some of the Europeans are starting to wake up. And in France, people don't realize every day in the suburbs of Paris, there is violence against the state of France by Muslim immigrants. And the police are afraid to even go into these areas and do anything about it. Every once in a while it blows up and comes into the central part of Paris, and they do something. But on a day-to-day basis, slowly and surely, the goal is to start and take over Europe, destroy Israel, and that's the beginning of the end of the West. And so Israel is the bulwark, for the Western world and for the Judeo-Christian values that we hold dearly. And without a strong Israel, we're lost as Americans.
So Ottawa's just north of the U.S. Midwest. For people who have been concerned that we would see more domestic terrorism, what does this say just before the elections in terms of counter-jihad as an election platform?
Well, first of all, one of the problems is immigration. I think one of the reasons why this may have happened in Canada, who's generally viewed as a peaceful country and hasn't been hit with these kinds of terrorist attacks in the past, is their immigration policy. They're much more lax than even the United States is in allowing people in. Our immigration policy, we allow Saudi students from the Gulf to come here. We allow Muslims. At the same time, we're restricting visas for Israelis who want to come here.
And they're scientists.
Yeah, and business people from India who want to contribute to the American economy are having trouble getting the special kinds of visas. But Muslims and Arabs, because they'll pay the full tuition at USC, are now making up a significant portion of the students at USC. So, as you go around this country, one of the things you see is more and more Muslims. And one of the most dangerous things that's happening, and nobody talks about, is the conversion of prisoners to Islam in American prisons.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, it's something we should be concerned about, that obviously imams are allowed to go into the prisons and preach hatred and convert these people. And when they get out, I mean, the leader of CARE, for instance, Ibn Hussein, he's a convert. A lot of the most radical of these people are converts. Maybe it's because they're trying to prove that they're holier than the Pope, so to speak. But we have to be aware. We can't let our guard down, or we're going to be in significant trouble. And the one thing that with all that's going on, let's not lose sight of the real danger, and that's Iran. If Iran gets the nuclear weapon, they're the largest sponsor of state terrorism. They've been responsible for killing more Americans than any other country in the world.
For killing more Americans?
Yeah, I mean, you go back to Beirut with their support of Hezbollah, their support of Hamas, their support of radical groups, their support of the insurgency in Iraq when we had American troops there. They're killing American troops. And if this administration and the negotiators don't insist on not only the reduction in centrifuges and getting rid of the enriched uranium that Iran already has, then we're going to lose this war. If they are on the precipice, if we leave the negotiations where within a short period of time Iran can become a nuclear power, then it's so dangerous that it's beyond comprehension. I mean, they're testing ballistic missiles. And it's not inconceivable that if they get a weapon, they'll have the ability to deliver it, certainly to Europe, certainly to Israel, but also to the United States. And it's not like during the Cold War where you had, the concept of MAD, mutual assured destruction. These people have a different whole concept and value system. They're willing to sacrifice 80% of their people to win this war. So with all the things that are going on in ISIS, or all the things that are going on everywhere else, the main focus that we should be having is on Iran. And what's really scary is the recent report that this administration is going to go through executive order and make an agreement with Iran going around the Congress, which I think is unconstitutional. And if President Obama is allowed to get away with that, it's going to be probably the most dangerous thing that can happen in the United States, maybe since World War II.